What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Cool Colas here, and you're tuning into another cool video. So, I'm glad you guys are getting a chance to tune in. I have a really cool topic, as are all of my topics. And I have a very different topic today, too, to talk to you all about that I think is really important, and I think this distinction needs to be made. So, the thing that I want to talk to you all about is why I am not a promoter of diversity in my writing, and I'm a promoter of just authentic black stories and black knowledge. So let's talk about what that looks like. So when I say authentic black stories and black knowledge, I think about the two things that are very important for us as black people, and the things that I think that need to be seen from a literary standpoint. So the first thing is we need to tell authentic black stories. So that doesn't necessarily mean that we need to recreate trauma porn, like I like to call it all the time. Trauma porn being like just showing our people always like in distress, and sometimes white saviorism's thrown into that, but just this idea that we struggle, we were in slavery, we were this, we were that, we're getting attacked by the police. I'm not necessarily saying that that's what I'm trying to promote. What I'm saying is that I think that we need to show that like black people can be in stories that don't even have to do with trauma itself, because we are exceptional people, and we need to be seen as such. So we need to see black people as kings and queens. We need to see black people who are doing like kind of very like I guess strange and obscure things, like being in space and fighting aliens and things like that. So we need to create like those types of like scenarios, because I think a lot of times it shows that we are versatile people who like it shows to us, that is, I want to make that clear. We're showing ourselves and our children and people who aren't necessarily convinced of this thing about us, like how exceptional that we are, and how versatile we are, and the different things that we're able to accomplish and we're able to do. Because I think that a lot of times we're not giving ourselves the ability to see ourselves as exceptional, or to see ourselves as kings and queens and such. Because I think a lot of times, like, we're so focused on what I would call seat at the tableism, which I believe is one of the big issues that is that persists between I guess like the difference between promoting diversity and promoting like the having the knowledge of self as a black person, and basically promoting black culture. So let me give you that kind of go more into detail about that first reason of why I think that diversity and promoting that is different than just promoting authentic blackness. The first reason is this idea of seat of the tableism, and I don't necessarily like care for like that over what I've just kind of described. So first of all, what I mean by seat of the tableism is this idea that black people have accolades that they have achieved somehow, despite their struggles, that are similar to things that white people have either valued or created in their system of like American values. So it's almost as if we as black people should be seen as exceptional only because of this idea of the white accolades that we're able to accomplish. So examples of that would be being the first black president, and the in America, and the glorification of that, despite like whether or not you actually have like a real black agenda. Or the idea of being this black millionaire who just makes a lot of money, and they're just like a white man or a white woman who has a ton of money, only because you're getting over on folks and you're greedy and all this other stuff. Now, I'm not saying all that's how all millionaires and billionaires run their business. I'm just creating like that stereotype of what is valued in this world. And so I think that what seat of the tableism a lot of times does is it creates this black idea of that. So not necessarily like us being able to show our exceptional versatility, but more so the idea that we are trying to fit in with white society and be like basically white people in a way, by glorifying their accolades. So to basically expand on that, the things that I don't really value from that is just this idea that we don't really help our own people as well too, or do things that are going to basically put them in a better light. So in other words, children are watching this, and people who don't necessarily, who have never really seen themselves in this way because of their influences and the people they've been around, they may like have a tendency to kind of focus on the things that everybody else basically promotes, which is that we need to celebrate when black people are able to overcome and to basically be black versions of like what white people aspire to be, instead of basically having this idea of this mentality that they are kings and queens like black people, and that they are people who deserve to understand how exceptional they are and how they can create their own world, and how they're able to how they don't need white society in order to be able to show how they're exceptional or how they basically are successful. So that's my first issue, is this idea of seat of the tableism, this idea that someone black people have to do something that fits into the scope of what white society has created or Western society has created, instead of actually showing, how they're exceptional in the way that they, one, understand their culture, two, they help their own people, and three, are independent from the values of like I said, white, European, or Western society. So I think that that's kind of like the first difference there. The second thing I would say that is really important is to note is that I think that you need to understand how much I don't necessarily care for the terminology that's used when we're talking about diversity, and then the meaning behind that. So what does that look like? The first thing is, I don't like the word diversity. I really don't like the term people of color. I don't like the term multiculturalism, and I don't like the term minority as it refers to just like as it refers to black people. I don't like it in general, but I especially don't like it as it refers to black people. And the reason why is because what that does is it mitigates the black struggle, it mitigates the black movement, and it mitigates black exceptionality, because it takes black people and it groups them in as if they're basically no different than anybody else who has a common struggle in America. That's ridiculous to me. That is absolutely ridiculous. And I think that there's a difference between like at me as a writer writing about black people, but also having to feel bogged down to write about other people who are non-black that aren't necessarily classified as white to most people. I think there's a difference between promoting that and then just promoting authentic black stories and talking specifically about things that black people need, which in my opinion are to be able to see that they're exceptional and that they're much different. There's versatile, I guess. And the second thing is for them to be able to know their enemy and understand the people who don't necessarily like them, and understand the people who basically are, opposing to them. So those are the two things that my writing does. So that doesn't mean necessarily that my protagonists are all going to be black, but I may tell a story in a way that black people can understand who it is that they're basically not like, and the people who don't like them. So as a black person, your main objective is to be able to have the knowledge yourself, to be able to embrace your culture in a way that is authentic, and two, for you to be able to understand your enemies and or the people who aren't like you and don't care for you to really be accepted within, like their society. So again, like that's what I write about is like the idea of promoting authentic black stories and the knowledge that black people need to be able to understand themselves against like the world's view, versus diversity, which talks about the fact that we're not just talking about black people, we're talking about all other groups. So that could be like those who are Asian, or those who are Hispanic or Latinx, or those who are like, I'm just giving you an example, who can classify themselves as Arabic. So in other words, what I'm basically saying is that I think that people need to understand that when I'm writing, I'm not writing for the sakes of multiculturalism. I'm writing for the sakes of just promoting the knowledge of self for black people, and being able to understand, for black people to understand their own exceptionality. Those are the two things that I write about. So even if I do write about somebody who is not black, the idea there is that I'm teaching people about their enemies, or about the people who have never really been for them, or have not really done anything to rectify the situations that they basically have been placed in. So that's kind of like the idea of everything that I write is for that. So I want to make it clear that if there's this expectation from people that I'm going to write about diversity or that I'm a promoter of people of color, then they need to do a little bit more research and a little bit more watching of what I do to be able to understand me, because that is not my goal. Now, if that is your goal, then that I understand that and more power to you. My goal though is to basically help help Black people and to be able to help them to be able to understand themselves, especially Black children. Black children, I think, are like the most impressionable. Because like right now they're at a stage where they're some of them already know themselves, like, and most people don't really understand that idea that a lot of them do have like self-awareness already, but it gets kind of beat out of them with a lot of different things. But that's another topic for another video. And I think some of them need examples of how people who look like them have like certain like strengths. Now, the one thing that I want to make very clear here is that when you're a writer of diversity, it's okay for you to talk about how Black people fit in to a society that was not welcoming to them, versus like Black people having their own like settings and stories and structures of the way that they function and understand themselves that doesn't necessarily fit into the beliefs of Western society. And again, I want to make sure that the stories that I tell are able to accomplish the goal of being informative, but at the same time, allowing Black people to kind of like have fun with it and being able to like learn, but to be able to find joy and happiness while learning, instead of feeling like it's a dog eat dog mentality for them to have to be able to learn things. So anyway, that's a quick video I wanted to do where I talked about how I am distinctly trying to promote my writing in a way where I'm promoting the exceptionality of Black people versus meeting some diversity quota. I just want to make sure that that's very clear. So with that said, I appreciate you all listening. If you guys want to follow anything else that I have, like that I've done, whether it's on my Twitter, you can do so at Colas Creative. If it's on my Instagram, that's also at Colas Creative, or you can follow me on my author page on Facebook, and that is at Cool Colas Author. So you can search that in your search bar. Anyway, I hope you guys have a good day. Hope you all enjoyed the video, and I will be talking to you soon. Peace.